Quinn Fuller's return to Los Angeles was anything but quiet. After months of absence and whispers about her whereabouts, she resurfaced not with triumph, but with desperation etched in every breath she took. The once fiery jewelry designer, always so proud, so unyielding, walked back into town with a secret too big to hide. Stage 5 chronic kidney disease, a death sentence without a transplant, and time. It was slipping through her fingers like dry sand. The woman who once schemed with precision now came back pleading. Not for power, not for love, but for life. Her choice was both logical and emotional. Carter Walton, her ex-lover, her one salvation. They shared more than passion. They shared a blood type rare, a perfect match. She knew what she was asking was unthinkable, but she asked anyway. Carter had just said yes to Hope Logan, pledging his future to a woman who, for once, made him believe in stability. Hope was light. Hope was trust. With Quinn, it had always been chaos, intoxicating, unforgettable, but chaos. Yet when Quinn showed up at his office, pale and gaunt, her voice barely more than a whisper, the ground beneath Carter cracked. "I'm dying," she said. No preamble. No seduction, just truth, raw and ugly. "You're my only chance." Carter didn't answer her then. He couldn't. The weight of her plea sank deep into him, poisoning everything else. He thought of Hippie so gentle, so certain. How could he face her with this? Meanwhile, Hope had been preparing for their wedding, blissfully unaware. Until she wasn't. She found the message first. A missed call from Quinn, then a text in lead to words. Please, urgent. Suspicion wasn't new to Hope. She'd known betrayal before. From her mother. From Liam. From Thomas. She'd rebuilt herself too many times to ignore the feeling when something was off. And Carter was off. He was present, but not. Smiling, but distant. And when she asked him, directly, what was wrong, he lied. That's when she knew. But nothing prepared her for the truth. Carter sat her down, held her hands, and broke her world apart. He told her about Quinn, about the disease, about the transplant, and that he was considering it. Hope recoiled as if struck. Considering? Carter, we're getting married. I know. She's your ex. I know that too. And you'd go under the knife. Risked everything. For her. Carter couldn't answer. Because yes, he would. Hope didn't cry. Not then. Her silence was louder than any scream. She stood, left the room, and didn't look back. The next day, she found Wyatt Spencer. Wyatt had distanced himself from his mother long ago. Quinn's history was a catalog of obsession and manipulation. But hearing that she was dying, really dying, shook something loose in him. Still, Hope wasn't there for sympathy. She came to make him stop her. She's using him, Hope said, her voice shaking with restrained fury. She's playing on his guilt. And if she wins, I lose him. Maybe forever. Wyatt didn't argue. He knew his mother's patterns better than anyone. He knew how Quinn could twist love into leverage. But he also knew her pain was real. Then maybe, he said, you don't need to fight her. Maybe you need to fight for him. But Hope wasn't the only one acting. Quinn, weakened but lucid, took control. She met with Carter again. This time, not to beg but to remind him of what they had, of who they were. She told him about the nights he held her when no one else would, about the promises, promises he broke, and how this, donating his kidney, wasn't just about saving her. It was about redemption. You can't undo the past, she said, but you can balance it. Carter was torn in two. His past fled into his present until he couldn't tell which side was right. The surgery would take him out of commission for weeks. Risk of complications, infection, loss of function. But the risk of saying no? Watching Quinn fade into nothingness, knowing he could have stopped it? The wedding was postponed. Not officially, not yet. But the silence spoke volumes. Hope stopped wearing her engagement ring. Brooke noticed first. then Steffi. Gossip traveled fast through Forrester Creations, and soon the whispers became daggers. Rich cornered Carter in his office. "She's using you," Rich growled. "And you're letting her." Carter stood his ground. "It's my body. My choice." Rich's voice dropped. "And what about Hope? You promised her a future. You promised her you." And what did Carter have left to say? That he still loved her. That he hated what Quinn had done to them. That he wished things were simpler. But they weren't. Wyatt, despite Hope's warning, went to see his mother. He found her alone in a hospital room, for line in her arm, medical records spread across a table. She looked smaller than he remembered. Not just physically, spiritually. Like someone who had spent all her energy fighting, only to arrive at a battlefield that no longer cared who won. She didn't plead with Wyatt. She didn't defend herself. "I know what I've done," she said. "But I'm not manipulating him. Not this time. I'm dying, Wyatt." For the first time, her voice didn't tremble from rage or drama. It trembled because she was scared. And Wyatt, he couldn't hate her anymore. Hope, however, still burned. She confronted Carter again, demanding a decision. "Me or her," she said. "Right now." He looked at her, eyes bloodshot from sleepless nights. "I don't want to lose you," he said. "Then don't." "But I can't let her die." Hope stepped back, as if distance would shield her from the pain. "Then maybe," she said, "you never really chose me at all." The ultimatum shattered whatever illusion remained. Carter made his decision the next morning. He signed the donor consent form. The surgery was scheduled for the following week. Hope didn't attend. She didn't answer his calls. She didn't leave LA either. She simply vanished from his life of physically present, emotionally gone. The transplant was a success. Quinn's color returned. Her voice regained its fire. The doctors called it a miracle. Carter, however, wasn't the same. Recovery was hard. Pain lingered. But worse than the physical was the silence. No hope. No joy. Just a void. Wyatt visited often, trying to make sense of the mess. He saw his mother alive, and yet everything else around her had died. Hope eventually confronted Quinn in anger, but in quiet rage. "You got what you wanted," she said. "I didn't want this," Quinn replied. "I wanted to live." "I never asked him to love me again." Hope's eyes narrowed. "But you knew what it would cost. You just didn't care." Quinn didn't argue. There was no point. What she said instead surprised Hope. "Take care of him. When you're ready. He still loves you. He never stopped." Hope didn't respond. She walked away, leaving Quinn alone again. Weeks passed. Then months. Hope visited Carter one night, long after visiting hours ended. She brought him soup. He was shocked to see her. "I'm not here to fix anything," she said. "I'm just here." He nodded. Maybe that was enough. For now. Because sometimes love isn't about choosing between two people. Sometimes it's about surviving the choices you've already made. Carter hadn't expected Hope to come back. Not after everything. And especially not with that look in her eyes, worn, cautious, but open. She didn't stay long that night, just enough to make sure he was healing. She didn't touch him, didn't talk about the wedding. Just soup, silence, and small steps. But small steps were better than none. For weeks after, Hope would come by. No declarations, no promises. Sometimes she stayed 10 minutes. Sometimes she stayed an hour. Carter never asked for more. He didn't deserve more. But he hoped. Every single time he hoped. Meanwhile, Quinn tried to disappear again. Once she was out of danger, she vanished from public view. No press. No Forrester. No drama. She stayed in a quiet house on the edge of Malibu, far from the lights of Los Angeles. Wyatt checked in on her occasionally. But even he knew she wasn't the same woman who once fought to control everything. Surviving had changed her. Watching Carter walk away had humbled her. Watching Hope stand her ground had broken her in ways even the illness hadn't. She painted now. Something simple. Solitary. She said little, but when Wyatt asked if she missed Carter, she answered honestly. Every second. But she never called him. Not once. Hope, on the other hand, was moving in the opposite direction. Slowly, carefully, she began piecing her life back together. Brooke pressured her to forget Carter. Rich told her she deserved someone who wouldn't hesitate. Even Steffi, who rarely agreed with Hope on anything, offered a rare olive branch. Some scars don't heal, Logan. Maybe this one isn't meant to. But Hope didn't listen. Not fully. Because Carter hadn't betrayed her for passion or ego. He'd chosen to save a life. And the truth, the hard truth, was that part of her respected that. Even if it tore her apart. She just didn't know if she could love him the same way again. That uncertainty hung between them like fog. Thick, heavy, unspoken. Until the day Carter collapsed at work. It was sudden. During a board meeting at Forrester, he stumbled mid-sentence. His face went pale. Pain gripped his side. He tried to wave it off, but Rich called 911. By the time the ambulance arrived, Carter was barely conscious. The hospital confirmed it. Post-operative complications. Minor internal bleeding. Nothing life-threatening, but serious enough to land him back in a hospital bed. Hope was there within the hour. She didn't say a word. She just sat by his side. When Carter woke, he smiled weakly. You came. Of course I did. I thought maybe I lost you. Hope didn't answer at first. She just looked at him. Really looked. At the man who'd given away part of himself to save someone else. At the man who'd risked everything and still bore the scars. You didn't lose me, she said quietly. But you broke something. And I don't know if it will ever go back the way it was. Carter nodded. I don't want it to. I want better. For both of us. Hope stayed every night until he was released. She took time off from Forrester. Ignored the gossip. Ignored her mother's disapproval. When Carter finally went home, it was Hope who brought him there. They didn't restart their engagement. No ring. No vows. Not yet. Instead, they started over. Carter, for his part, reached out to Quinn once. Just once. A short letter. Handwritten. No apology. Just gratitude. You gave me chaos, he wrote. But you also gave me clarity. I don't regret helping you. But I know now where I belong. I hope you find peace. He never got a reply. Quinn read the letter late one night and burned it the next morning. Not out of anger, but because she didn't need it anymore. The man she loved had chosen someone else. And maybe, for once, she wasn't going to fight it. Hope and Carter moved slowly. Dates without labels. Dinners with awkward silences. A kind of love that wasn't shiny or perfect, but tested and scarred. Real. Then one evening in early spring, Carter asked her, not to marry him, but to start again. For real. No wedding date. No pressure. Just us. Hope smiled. Just us, she repeated. But as peace began to return to their lives, the shadows weren't far behind. Because secrets have a way of staying alive. Even the ones thought buried. Unbeknownst to Quinn, her medical records were flagged by a hospital administrator, a former rival, one who remembered all too well what Quinn Fuller was capable of. Something didn't add up in her charts. A discrepancy in timing. A question of how fast her numbers had dropped. It raised suspicion. Had Quinn exaggerated her illness to manipulate Carter? The investigation was quiet at first. Internal. Confidential. But whispers began circling again. What if Quinn had lied? What if she wasn't as sick as she claimed? Wyatt confronted her. Tell me the truth, he demanded. Was it real? Quinn, eyes cold and clear, looked at her son. I was dying, she said. And maybe I made sure the right people saw just how bad it was. But the disease was real. The fear was real. I just didn't have time to be noble. Wyatt's face twisted. So you pushed him into it. I gave him the facts, she said. He made the choice. The hospital never went public. No charges, no press. But the damage was done. Hope heard the rumor. So did Carter. He confronted Quinn one last time. She didn't deny it. I wanted to live, she said. Wouldn't you? Carter turned away. You should have let me decide with truth, not fear. You did decide, she said. You just don't like the price. Carter walked out. This time, for good. Hope met him outside. She'd overheard it all. The lies. The manipulation. The same old Quinn. Carter looked at her, defeated. Do you still want this? Me. After everything. Hope took a breath. Now I know. It was never really a choice between me and her. It was a choice between who you were and who you want to be. She reached for his hand. And I want to build something with that man. The man you are now. They walked away from Quinn, from the chaos, from the wreckage of what had nearly destroyed them. And for once, there were no tricks, no secrets. Just the long, slow path toward love, honest, hard-earned, and finally real.